All right, hello. Welcome back into my kitchen. As always, it's a pleasure to see you. Today we're gonna cook up some awesome food. We have a blueberry balsamic pork tenderloin, and then we're gonna do a couscous salad with sun-dried tomato and feta to go with it. Like many other times, we gotta start with the thing that cooks the longest first. Hey Dan, how you doing? Easy pork tenderloin. The blueberry is all in the sauce, so once you get it in the oven, then you can work on the sauce separately. So I'm gonna grab some salt, pepper, garlic powder. Guys, always salt, pepper, please, for the love of God, salt, pepper. And we're doing a 1 pound pork tenderloin because I'm fat, but not that fat. Basic concept here: we want enough salt, pepper, and garlic powder to cover it, but we don't need a lot of extra because we're just topping it. If you have a giant pork tenderloin, just make more of this. If you have the world's smallest pork tenderloin, just make less of this. And I'm going roughly 1 to 1 to 1, so the same amount of salt, pepper, and garlic powder. And I guess to go with it, guys, please, fresh ground black pepper. Don't use pre-ground stuff. It's not as good, and it's no more expensive. So, and I'll show this here for you guys. We have a boneless pork tenderloin. We're using boneless because it's easier to deal with, obviously. Scissors. And as I said before, we're going for roughly a pound. I have my fancy little silicone baking dish here in the hopes to not make my kitchen a disaster. Okay, we're going to arrange in the pan, but I'm going to cover with our salt, pepper, and garlic powder. The other reason you put it in a little container like this is my hands are now covered in pork juice, and the little container, who cares, I can throw it out afterwards. So I'm going to sprinkle some on the top. I'm going to spread it with my fingers. We're going to flip it, put some on the bottom. And I'm going to turn it 90 and try and put some on the sides. Remember, this is being glazed afterwards, so you don't have to be perfect on your seasoning on the outside because, well, you're going to add more. All right, I'm going to quick rinse my fingers off here so that I don't spread raw pork everywhere in my kitchen, and then we're going to turn the oven on and get this in. We're going to turn the oven on 350, 20 to 30 minutes. You want to make sure it's cooked all the way through. If you notice, I've tucked my tail under. That's to try and make it a more uniform shape. Uniform shape cooks more uniformly. Again, toss it in, 30 minutes. Want it to be cooked. Raw pork is bad, don't do it. Please cook it thoroughly. I'm going to set my timer for 25 and then look at it then. We do have two other things we're going to have to do that take time. One, I'm going to start by cooking our couscous. I'm using Israeli couscous. If you've never cooked with this before, it is much larger than regular couscous. I really enjoy it. I think it makes a great starch. So as you see, they're kind of, I want to say almost BB sized, airsoft pellet sized. a little more crunch and texture than plain couscous, which is much smaller. However, you do actually need to cook them. So in my case, I'm using about 1.25 cups dry, and I'm going to cook these according to the package directions. So it means 1.25 cups means I'm going to need 1.5 cups of liquid in the pan, and then enough of our seasoning to spice it up, and then we're going to just put these in there and boil them for 8 minutes. I had to get my new package of Spice Blend. If you're from parts of Europe, you'll know exactly what this is. If you're not from Europe, those parts of Europe, you have no idea what this is. But this is great. It's basically salt with some MSG and dried vegetable pieces. And you use roughly a teaspoon per cup of water. It's almost like powdered chicken stock, but it's more vegetable heavy. And we'll put that to the side just so that I remembered later to actually put it into my proper container for it. Measure out my couscous here. I'm going to wait for my water to get up to a boil. Put it in. 8 to 10 minutes. We're great. It's not too complicated from there. In fact, I would say our longest step is boiling the couscous. And then we will work on our blueberry reduction. I was very careful. It took a lot of effort in my head to not eat all of the blueberries. I bought them, and then I bought more. They're very delicious. But our concept is going to be for the blueberry reduction, blueberries in a pan, smack them with a potato masher so they let out all their juice, throw in some balsamic vinegar, some honey, a little garlic, let it reduce for a little bit. Then that'll be ready to go on top. And then we're going to let it cool just a pinch. A lot of your reductions, glazes, sauces you put on top of the meat are actually a little cooler than the meat, and that's so that they stick better. And apologies as I just keep stirring the water. I know a watched pot never boils. But man, do I want it to boil faster. I'm going to measure that and get it out on my counter. Again, 1.25 cups. And this is a wheat starch. So it's, basically pasta. It's not rice. It's not rice-based anything else. It is wheat. So, think of it as orzo except rounder. Almost there, and I'm going to cover the lid when I cook them because that's what you should do. And then once they get to boiling, I'm also going to add a little garlic to it just to give it a little more flavor, but I can wait to throw the pasta in. At the same time, I'm going to grab my other pan, set it out we're going to rinse off, give or take half a cup of blueberries. The recipe says half a cup. I'm going to be generous because I like blueberries. As I said before, I had to be careful not to eat too many. I actually went and bought a second package because I ate too many. So I'm going to use my 1 cup measuring cup and just loosely fill it most of the way. If you're going to use frozen blueberries, remember that there's a lot more liquid around a frozen blueberry. Figure out there's a couple on the floor I've got to find. And again, blueberries have a lot of airspace, so I'm being a little, what looks generous, because I want to make sure there's enough. There it is. Throw the one out that landed on the floor before it ends up on the bottom of my socks here. Rinse these off really fast. I'm going to put them in the small pan. I'm going to change which camera you're seeing, and then we're going to just start working on them. Come on. There we go. As you can also see, our water is boiling with the Vegeta. I'm going to throw in our couscous. I'm going to put a lid on it. And we're doing 8 to 12 minutes on the couscous, so I'm going to do 8 and see how they taste. We're going to stir them every 3 or 4 minutes. We want to make sure that they don't stick to the bottom of my pan. Try this again. Our blueberries we're going to kind of smash with either a spoon or a potato masher. As they heat up, they naturally get a little easier to smash. If you're watching closely, you can see that the actual juicy inside of a blueberry isn't the colored part, it's the skin. We're going to keep our heat pretty low here. On careful feeling, I think I've gotten them all. Also, very carefully, I am making sure to keep my spoon off my countertop so I don't cause real problems. What you guys can't see is me struggling to figure out where I put my own honey. Using a very long spoon, I'm going to try and take about a tablespoon out of the bottom of my honey jar. Remember, guys, honey can get solid just from age, but it doesn't actually go bad. So as it reheats, it will liquefy. So right now, this as it is, just blueberries and honey smashed up. If you were to let this reduce just a little bit more to get a little thicker, this is the perfect topping for on top of ice cream. We're going to make this dinner suitable, so we're going to add a little bit of balsamic. And I'm going with just over a third of a cup. This seems like a lot, but remember, it's not like you're eating this with a spoon. You're putting this on top of your dinner. And we're going to give this 10 to 12 minutes at a low simmer to reduce in half, give or take. Basically, right now, it looks and feels like water. Once it's reduced in half or a little more than half, it will start acting more like a sauce or a glaze like you're used to. You know, you'll pick it up on the spoon and it'll stay on the spoon as a thick coating. That's where you want it. And then I have 2 minutes left on our couscous. And our pork is going. I can smell it, and it smells good. So while that's all getting together, we're going to grab a mixing bowl, and we're going to put the rest of the stuff together for the salad. It's not too hard. Or I can set off my own fire alarm again, which I love doing. My real question is what set it off? Because I'm literally boiling water. I don't know. We'll find out. I guess I'll find out if I hear the fire alarms coming that I did it. Oops. So, you know, well, I hopefully don't have the fire department show up. We will finish up our salad, and either I'll serve them salad or I'll be very happy. I've actually turned the heat off on the couscous because while that was all going on, it hit its timer. And we'll start working on the add-ins. So the heat being off on the couscous is going to let it cool down a little bit, which is great. arugula, sun-dried tomatoes, and some red onions. And wow, did that mess with my head. So we're going to do half a red onion, mince it pretty fine. As with many other vegetables, you want to think about what your final status is going to be. So in my case, my large starch is Israeli couscous, which is very small. So I want my onion pieces to be very small. Okay, we'll call that enough. I'm going to put them right in the bowl, and then I'm going to put my couscous right on top of it and let the onion get cooked a little bit by the hot couscous. So in goes all cup and a half. Be careful with things like couscous because they've got a lot of heat in the starch. And if you do it wrong, it's basically like pouring napalm directly on your fingers because you cannot get it off. So as I said, I'm going to stir these together. My goal here with the onion is I'm going to let it cook for just a minute or two. Well, I guess more than a couple minutes, just as our couscous cools. By definition, that'll take some of the sharpness out of the onion. We're going to grab a jar of already pre-julienned sun-dried tomato and put that in as well. You want somewhere in the 5-ounce range. My jar is 7.5. Which means I'm going to put about half the jar in. And that includes, like, put the oil in too. By buying the pre-julienned ones, that means I don't have to try and slice oily sun-dried tomatoes, which you can do, but why? So again, we're going to stir them in, let the heat from the couscous keep cooking everything down. As compared to a couple minutes ago, there's a lot less sharp pungency from the onions. And really, honestly, like, this is a hot side right here. You could just have that with your pork. Okay, and then we have just a couple other things to throw in there. Our big other one is arugula. This is going to look like a ton. But once you dice it and once it starts to cool, it's nothing. All I'm going to do is run my knife through this a few times. Our big goal here, we want this to be kind of bite-sized, unlike a real-life salad. You know, just a greens salad. I don't want to be like twirling it around my fork trying to find the end of the piece. So again, couple rotations. And then we're going to throw it right on top, and you'll immediately see it starting to wilt, which is, you know, what makes it smaller. Or less volumetric, I should say. So by now our bowl is mostly full. Really, this is 2 to 3 servings. I'll have it warm tonight, and I will have it cold tomorrow at lunchtime. And I try and do it in this order, mostly because I want to wilt our arugula just a little bit. And then we've really only got 2 ingredients left. One of them I will add right away. The other one I'm going to wait for our pork to finish. Once our pork is fully cooked, I'm going to add our last one. I want to give this actually a chance to get a little cooler. It's still like reasonably warm. So I'm going to add lemon juice right away, and the one I'm going to add at the end is feta cheese. You could add the feta right now, but it'll help. And I've got a minute left before I check on our pork. I expect it to still need 2 or 3 more. So I'm just gonna throw the lemon juice in, and then we're pretty much good to eat. Like, dinner's not hard. I'm actually going to give the pork a whole additional 5 minutes. It's getting there, but it's not there. We are going to add, give or take, 3 tablespoons of lemon juice, and this seems like a lot. But remember, there's a lot of salad here. Additionally, if you weren't pre-seasoning your couscous, you need to add like a bunch of salt right here. This will be boring without salt. In our case, the Vegeta had our salt for us. This looks really good. I would like to eat this right now. In fact, I'm going to. Let me show it off for you guys right on the screen. That's a good side salad. Spoonful with a little of everything. Mm-hmm. when I pull our pork out in a couple minutes, I'm going to also turn off the heat on our glaze. We're going to let them sit together, give the pork about 5 minutes to rest, and then we're going to eat all of it because I'm hungry. Let me clean my countertop off here just a little bit so that I don't get lettuce pieces everywhere else in my apartment. Get a good plate. This, by far, is actually the hardest part of cooking. Because it's basically ready. All you have left is waiting. I probably shouldn't snack on food right before I'm going to eat food. All right, I'm going to actually use, let me pull it out right here. Our pork is nicely cooked through. It needs to sit for 5 to 10 minutes to kind of get the temperatures to stabilize throughout the entire piece of pork. What we're going to do is as soon as it has its 5 minutes, I'm going to slice it up, give me some thick medallions, put it right on the plate. I'm going to try and be patient. The big thing while that happens, just to let you all know, I am trying to set a cadence here. So we are going to be streaming from on Sundays, that's 5:30 Eastern, whatever the heck time that is for you, and most Wednesdays at 5:45 p.m. Eastern. And my commitment is that by Saturday night, I will have this future stream created for the Sunday. And by Monday night, I will have the streams created for any Wednesday I'm going to stream. That way, if you want to cook along, you're more than welcome to. The recipes are all posted below. Enjoy yourselves. Hopefully you set off less fire alarms than I do. But again, I'm just kind of giving our pork a few minutes here, and then we're going to slice and enjoy. And you'll notice I always try and put my meat on a cutting board on top of my fancy cutting board. This fancy cutting board is larger than my sink, which is a real problem when it comes to washing it. So by and large, I try and use a cutting board that I can wash more thoroughly. Let me start here. Let me. Give myself a really nice serving of our couscous salad. Get our pork out. I'm going to slice off the thin end because that's the end I like. Myself 5 pieces. Swear at myself as they don't line up correctly. But hey, that's okay. I'll put the rest in its pan to sit for later, and I'm going to sauce these up and eat it. I'm probably going back for more pork in a little bit, guys. I'll be honest. But there we go. Pork and couscous for dinner tonight. I hope you all enjoyed, and you have a wonderful rest of your Sundays. I'll see you next week, if not sooner.